The Living Earth Center in Mankato has received a grant from the Department of Agriculture to fund its Seed the Sauce program.
For years, the nonprofit's been dedicated to encouraging young people to learn more about nature and how food gets from farm to table. Their Seed the Sauce program involves teaching children the entire process of how that happens, from planting the seeds to harvesting them at the end. They say that knowing where their food comes from makes kids more likely to want to eat it. The grant, which will cover several years of funding, will make sure that the Living Earth Center has all the resources it needs to expand the Seed the Sauce program, which is focused specifically on urban youth.
The grant is for to get urban and semi-urban youth involved in community agriculture, basically growing produce, growing food. And so the grant is going to go to help us with supplies, with staffing, with transportation.
In addition to the Seed to Sauce program, the Living Earth Center also provides a space for Mankato residents of all ages to grow their own food. We'll have more on this story tonight at 10 o'clock. Hey, Sean.